jagat
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
tena taktena bhunjitha
Tena yaktena bhunjita
magradha kasya svidhanam
Madhyakasya siddhanam
Ishavasya sarvam
Ishavashyamidam sarvam
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Tena taktena bhunjitha
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Magradha kasya svidhanam
Madhyakasya siddhanam
Ishavasya sarvam
Ishavashyamidam sarvam
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Tena taktena bhunjitha
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Magradha kasya svidhanam
Madhyakasya siddhanam
So are there any volunteers from Prabhuji's side?
Ishavasyanidam sarvam Yatkincha jagatyam jagat Tena yaktena bhunjita Madhyakasya siddhanam
Ishavasyanidam sarvam
Ishavasyanidam sarvam
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Tena taktena bhunjitha
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Magridha kasya siddhanam
Madhyakasya siddhanam
Any from Mataji's side?
Isavashyamidam sarvam
Ishavasyanidam sarvam
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Madhyakasya svidhanam
Madhyakasya siddhanam
Isavasyamidam sarvam
Ishavasyanidam sarvam
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Madhyakasya svidhanam
Madhyakasya siddhanam
Isavasyamidam sarvam
Ishavasyanidam sarvam
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Yatkincha jagatyam jagat
Tena yaktena bhunjita
Tena yaktena bhunjita Madhyakasya siddhanam
So now we'll be doing synonyms. Isha, by the Lord. Avasyam, controlled. Idam, this. Sarvam, all. Yatkincha, whatever. Jagatyam, within the universe. Jagat, all that is animate or inanimate.
All that is animate or inanimate.
Tena,
By
him. Tyaktena, set apart quota.
set apart quota.
Bhunjitha,
Bhunjita,
you should accept.
you should accept.
Ma, do not.
Krida,
Endeavor to gain.
endeavor to gain.
Kasyasvit,
Kasyasvit,
of anyone else.
of anyone else.
Dhanam, the wealth. Translation. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong. So that was the translation, and the Now we do Mangalacharan, and the purport will not be reading fully, we'll take in parts. So we do Mangalacharan prayers now. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Navadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So today usually we read the purport fully, but I have actually divided the purport in various topics. So in this, the first two paragraphs of the purport, they talk about how this Vedic knowledge is infallible. So the first two paragraphs, if you see, they have discussed how the Vedic knowledge is infallible, and we have to accept it as it is. We cannot doubt it. We cannot question it. Why? Why we cannot question it? Any idea?
Because it's coming directly from
It's coming directly from the Supreme Lord. And the other literatures, if you see, like, and last week it was discussed, if the literatures which are composed by the materialistic people, why they are not perfect? The four defects were discussed last week. Anyone remembers those four defects? Yes, Mataji. Yes. Coming together. So, committing mistakes, subject to illusion, propensity to cheat, and imperfect senses. Only absolute truth can deliver the perfect knowledge. Other people, because this knowledge is coming from the absolute truth, it is perfect. And there are examples that we discussed last week about the dung. The dung is impure, but the cow dung is pure, because it is given in the scriptures. We see here the conch shell we blow. It's made out of bones. Usually they are impure. But here we blow it before the arti and after the arti. So because the scripture says, we have to believe it without any doubt. So whatever we are going to read, there is a very important principle, a universal law that we are going to discuss today. And because it is given in Vedic scriptures, there is no question about it. We have to accept it as it is, because by accepting it, by following it, we'll come near to Krishna. And that is the purpose we are here. We all are here for one purpose. We want to come close to Krishna. So the first two paragraphs of this purport basically talk about how this Vedic knowledge is infallible and without any faults. It has to be accepted as it is, without any question. Because it is coming from Supreme Lord in disciplic succession we're getting it. So this was discussed like last week nicely, so I will not go more into this. So if you move on to the third and the fourth paragraph of this purport, that is the main topic of this verse actually, this mantra. This mantra, we are going to discuss 2-3 points. I'm just mentioning the key points of this mantra. The first point is how Krishna is the supreme proprietor, controller and the enjoyer. That is the main point, first point. Second point, which we are going to take in detail like as we move on, that there is a set quota for everyone. Krishna is a proprietor, okay, Krishna is the enjoyer, so we cannot take anything? No, we have set quota for us that we can take. And if we take more than that, we try to grab more. We get something but try to grab more. Then we are thief. We are a thief. So we have to accept whatever is set aside as a quota for us and not be greedy and getting more and more. So this is the main topic that we are going to discuss in this purports, and this principle is called Ishavasya principle. It's a universal law applicable for everyone. So when we go to some place, like some in school or some office, there is some laws, there is some rules we have to follow. In this human form of life, we have to follow some rules. We are not just here like animals. We have to follow some rules. And when we don't follow the rules, there are some results. When we follow the rules, we get some reward. So this third and fourth paragraph of this purport talk about the Ishavasya principle. In Bhagavad Gita, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions about how the Lord's proprietorship over everything within the universe. And this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita chapter 7.4 and 7.5. Where Krishna says, everything we see, the bhumi, air, water, everything, it's coming from whom? Krishna. We claim here that we are making so many things, big buildings, so many gadgets, but the basic things that we need, the air we are breathing every day, the water we are drinking every day, so many things, we eat every day. We say the farmer grows, but farmer grows from what? He plants the seed. And from where does the seed come? Krishna said, I am the seed giving father. So everything is coming from Krishna. But we are always ready to take the ownership. We do small thing and we say, oh, I did it. Everywhere, in material world, this is very common. Very common. Everyone is ready to take proprietorship over the possessions because I did it, I made it. Forgetting that all the raw materials, if you go back to anything, any cloth, any equipment, if you go back, the basic material, nobody manufactured it. It's coming from Krishna. So I have one little pastime from, I heard from in one lecture, like one time in back 1970s, one cement factory owner came to Srila Prabhupada. And he introduced him as his name maybe Kumar or something. That, oh Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I am the owner of this cement factory. Prabhupada said, okay, yes. So where do you get the cement from? He said, we manufacture in the factory. Like, so, okay, so how do you manufacture it? He said, like, we get the raw materials. He said, from where do you get the raw materials? He said, from the mountains. So where did the mountains come from? He said, it's given by God. So Srila Prabhupada immediately said, how you can claim that you are the owner of the factory? It's belonging to Krishna. You should name it Krishna Cement Factory, not your own name. So this is the problem actually. And it's not with that person, we all have it. We all have this problem. We do small things and we try to claim proprietorship over it. And when we forget this point that Krishna is the proprietor, and we start taking this possession thing, that this is, I did it, we are a thief. One more story, you might have heard it, like if in the house sometimes we call a carpenter to build some furniture. And we give the carpenter the raw material, the wood, the nails, whatever is needed, and the carpenter uses those raw materials, builds it, and what happens if he just takes that furniture away? What you say to that person? Thief. But because the homeowner gave him all the material, he gave him the ingredients, the wood, nail, everything, and this carpenter now he said, okay, I made it, I'm taking it away because I made it. We are in the same position actually. We are taking everything from Krishna in this material. We are here from the time we are born. We have nothing we brought from our side. And whatever we are taking from here, we are building other things. But what we do every time, we are trying to claim proprietorship. I made this. I did this. And in Bhagavatam actually, there is a discussion between Brahmaji and Narad Muni. And Narad Muni is asking Lord Brahma that I see that you are making everything, you are doing all creation. I see that. Are you the independent maker, like creator? Brahmaji said no. Supreme Lord, absolute truth is the creator. I am just recreating whatever is given to me already. All the ingredients are given to me by Krishna. I am just using them and doing the further creation. So Lord Brahma himself is saying that. And we in this material world, we are trying to claim proprietorship over small, everything actually. And that is the problem actually. That is why the problem is there. Because we try to claim proprietorship, that's why we suffer. If we feel, okay, this is Krishna's, then we'll just use the things and will not be suffering anymore. So this principle is being taught by Srila Prabhupada in this 3rd and 4th paragraph. In Nectar of Instruction also, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned in the purports how Atyahara, collecting more than necessary, is not good for us. So we should only take whatever is given to us. That is also coming in the further verses, that whatever is the set aside quota for us. It's not that whatever is there we have to, it's all for us. It's not like that. There is some set quota. And that is greatly discussed in Nectar of Instruction verse, where the 6 things are mentioned which are harmful for our bhakti. And one of them is Atyahara. Atyahara prayashasya. So when we do Atyahara, necessary for gathering more things, we have to do more efforts. Because we cannot get more things without effort. So we'll do more efforts. So gathering more than necessary will destroy our bhakti. If we want to come close to Krishna, we have to avoid that. We have to just try to accept whatever is set aside quota for us. So then someone might say, like, how do we know what is a quota for us? So whatever is necessity to keep our body and soul together. So we can judge ourselves how much we are accumulating. Are we doing Atyahara or are we doing just maintaining all the basic things? And in the next paragraph, actually the 5th paragraph, Srila Prabhupada gave example of cow and tiger. 2 examples Prabhupada gave about cow and tiger. Cow gives us, everyone knows, cow brings the milk. What does cow eat? Grass. She gives us the milk, but she eats grass. Because that is a sign for her. What tiger eats flesh. Tiger is not eating grass. Similarly, for human being also, there is something which is set aside. What we are supposed to eat. We are supposed to eat vegetarian food. But Krishna, in scriptures it is written, even just eating vegetarian food without offering is also a sin. So, we have to eat vegetarian food, but after offering it. And which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. It is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita how if we are eating even vegetarian food without offering, we are incurring a sin. So we have to make food and then offer to Krishna and then we have to take it. That is a set aside quota for us. We cannot just, like if we become like anything, you eat anything, then Krishna will give you next birth, but like that only. There's some people who just eat anything, anywhere. And anyone any idea like which is that animal who just anywhere and anything eat? Yeah. So you will get that type of birth if you have a desire like that. Whatever desire we develop, Krishna will give us next birth accordingly. So that was the that point we discussed, that there is a quota for everyone that is given to us by Krishna. Then in the next verses, Prabhupada is also talking about the greed and fight in human society. The 6 to 8 verses, there is a greed and fight in human society. Why? For getting more and more things. In families, you see, people who fight for the properties. In the countries, there is a fight between different countries. I don't know, in here it's not there, but in India, many people are from India here, but there are street dogs. And every street there is a group of dogs. And the next street there will be another group of dogs. And from other street, if the dogs from other street come into the other street, what do they do? They bark. Because every street dog, they think we are the owner of the street. And other street dog, they think we are the. And what do we think about them? Human being? These foolish creatures. They are thinking this is their street and they are fighting over it. They bark like that. Same is our position actually. We are also fighting like that. And the devatas, they are thinking like how we think for the dogs, they are thinking like that for us. How we are thinking for the small possessions. We go to the beach, we go to the ocean, and the small kids, they make castle. And what happens when the wave comes? It goes away. Same way, we are also accumulating so many possessions throughout our life. We build house, we create bank balances, so many things. But what does happen afterwards? Who takes it away? Death takes it away. No one can claim that I am going to hold this property, hold this land permanently. No one can say that. It's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. For someone it may be 50 years, 70 years, 80 years. After that, maybe their kids get. And for them also, maybe some years. And ultimately, they are not the permanent owners of those things. But when we are living here, we fight as if we are the owner. It's our thing. People fight like anything for this ownership. There is a fight between different countries. Nowadays we see there is a fight going on between countries. For what? There is no peace. There is no peace. And Krishna is giving this peace formula actually. In Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, 529 verse, Bhoktaram Yagna Tapsam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. He is the owner of all the lokas. And when we understand that, we'll get the peace. The point until we are claiming the proprietorship, we are the owner, we are the enjoyer, we can never have peace. We can never have peace. If you go your generation back, your father, your forefathers maybe. I will not say about comfortable level, but are you more peaceful or they were more peaceful? What would you say? If you talk about the peace thing. If I see they were more at peace. Maybe now we have more facilities, we have more comfort level, but the peace of mind was at that time. No distractions, because people were more God conscious. They used to see, in everything they used to see the hand of God. That was more as we go back. But nowadays it's becoming less and less. People are becoming more atheistic. Everyone is trying to claim their ownership, my property, my land, everything is going on me and mine. And trying to grab more and more things. I remember when this COVID started, and there were in stores, it was very hard to find like sanitizers. People were like gathering like whatever they were getting, they're just getting it. They need one, but they're getting 4 and 5 times because maybe future will not get it. Even paper towels, not getting them. The stores are like the big lines. Because we are trying to gather more than what we need. Actually, in this creation, there is no scarcity. Krishna has given us everything in adequate quantity. But because we are trying to collect more than necessary, we are breaking this principle. That's why there is scarcity and inequality. Some people are having more and more things, and some people are just deprived of things. We can practically see this. So this principle, this Ishavasya principle basically is talking about how Krishna is the supreme proprietor. He is the enjoyer. Whatever we get, we have to offer him and accept whatever is set aside quota for us. And if we are not doing that, we are a thief. In the last, actually, so Prabhupada talks in more detail these things. The last paragraph of this purport, I want to read it actually. It's a small paragraph, but I want to read it. The root of the sin is, that is the start. Yeah. The root of sin is deliberate disobedience to the laws of nature through disregarding the proprietorship of the Lord. Disobeying the laws of nature or the order of the Lord brings ruin to a human being. Conversely, one who is sober, who knows the laws of nature, and who is not influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion is sure to be recognized by the Lord and thus becomes eligible to go back to Godhead, back to eternal home. So this is living to Ishavasya principle. If we live according to Ishavasya principle, this peace formula, accepting the proprietorship of Krishna, then we can go back to Godhead easily. Otherwise, we'll be stuck here. And now, actually this verse is there, but the second and third mantra is also the continuation of this mantra only. So we saw the principle. What is the principle? Can anyone say in one line? What is the principle?
Krishna is the supreme proprietor.
Yeah, and we have a quota that we can accept. So, if someone follows this principle, what happens? If someone follows this principle, they become free from karmic reaction. Because we are accepting Krishna and we are offering to him and we are taking prasad. Otherwise, in other case, if you do good work, you get some good reaction. You do bad work, you do bad reaction, but you ultimately stay here. But by following this principle, we are actually becoming free from karmic reaction. And we can go back to Krishna easily. We act on a liberated platform. And that is the aim of human form of life, why we are here. We are here not just for sense gratification. We are here for some purpose. And that purpose is going back to God. And we have forgotten that purpose. That's why Krishna comes and tells us again and again. We have representatives of Krishna who comes here in this material world and teach us. We are stuck here actually. We are stuck here. And our main goal of this life, this human form of life, which is very rare, is to go back to Godhead. Go to our home, where we can stay peacefully and happily eternally. No more death. Everyone is scared of death. Everyone is scared of death. So this was, if we follow the principle, we get this result. But what if we don't follow the principle? That is the third verse, third mantra. If we don't follow the principle, we are on actually like a asura or a demon. Usually, when we say the word demon, people usually in the dramas, how is the demon dressed? It's like some big horns, some black face, something like that. We dress like that, yeah, maybe. But actually, it's not the appearance which is demoniac. It is the mentality that is demoniac. Someone might be very smart in a very nice dress, but have a demoniac mentality. So that person, but someone might be not looking beautiful, but still be a godly person. So a person, if not following this principle, they become like a asura. Krishna says that actually. I'm not reading the whole purport, but it is mentioned in the purport. And that person is called killer of the soul. This word is there given in the purport, killer of the soul. But in Bhagavad Gita, we read chapter 2, some features about the soul. Soul cannot be killed. But here it is mentioned, killer of the soul. So for that, I'm just reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, chapter 20, verse 17. There's a definition given actually. So I will just read it. It's not here on the screen, but I will try to read slowly so that everyone can follow it. The human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the personality of Godhead as favorable winds, impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, this last line is important. A human being who does not utilize his human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. So that is the meaning. When we don't use this human form of life for the purpose for which we got it, will be called the killer of the soul. There is a bhajan, you might have heard it. Manusha janama paya Radha Krishna na bhajiya Janiya suniya visha khaiya. Even after knowing, we got this human form of life, and after hearing and listening and understanding also, if we don't worship Lord Krishna, Radha Krishna, we are purposely eating poison. So this human form of life is for some purpose which is going back to Godhead. And if we don't work on that, we are called killer of the soul. And one more example, one more story you might have heard, that a bird and a cage, the bird in the cage, bird in the cage. So if you're just polishing the cage all the time, washing it, polishing, maybe golden polish or silver polish, and not feeding the bird inside, what will happen to the bird? Die. So for soul, we have a different food. In Rath Yatra cards, you might have seen there's a logo. Anyone knows the logo? Feed your soul. Feed your soul. Very important word actually. It's not a simple thing. When we do such festivals, Rath Yatra festival, Janmashtami festival, we gather here, we chant. Actually, we are providing the food for our soul. Otherwise, we'll be off like a demon, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned here in the purport also. Asura mentality. This Asura mentality is not with our features, how we look. We may dress up, we may do nice makeup, nice clothes. But if our mentality is not godly, if we are not following these principles what are given to us in scriptures, Vedic scriptures, which are coming directly from the Supreme Lord, then we are all on the same platform. We are like a demon mentality. So if we want to come out from this material existence, then we have to follow this principle, Ishavasa principle. In Bhagavad Gita also, this verse, Bhagavad Gita 5:29 that I was mentioning here, this peace formula verse, Prabhupada says, Bhoktaram yagnitaksam sarvalokam maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim rachati. The translation says, the sages knowing me as the ultimate purpose of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living beings, living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. So this is the only peace formula. When we follow this, when we understand that Krishna is the supreme controller, Krishna is the enjoyer, whatever we are getting is not actually we are the owner, we are the proprietor, it's coming from Krishna only, and we have to offer him, he is the supreme enjoyer, we have to offer him and then accept whatever is set aside quota for us as a Prashna. Then only we can be in peace. Otherwise, there is no peace. People, there's so many things when we do peace rallies. Do you think we can get anything out of peace rallies? And so many peace rallies happen nowadays. But nothing comes out of it. Unless and until we follow what is given in the Vedic scriptures. Because only Krishna can give us the real formula. No other mundane person in this material world can give the formula. And Krishna has given this. In Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, we are reading Isopnishad. Krishna has given us perfect formula that we can follow and bring peace in the society. Otherwise, there is chaos everywhere actually. Yeah. People are fighting for small things. Countries are fighting. Yeah. Nobody has manufactured anything, but if it's in our land, we think, oh, it's my thing. No one else can take it. So we should pray to Krishna that we also follow this principle and come close to him. And our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada has demonstrated this by his perfect example. We say, whatever great people do, common man follow. So Srila Prabhupada, he came to United States here at this very old, at 69 years, 70 years of age, and whatever he did, everyone, we know, like so many temples, he single-handedly started this International Society of Krishna Consciousness. So many centers all over the world, he traveled everywhere, but nowhere he claimed any proprietorship that it's my thing, nowhere. Whatever he got, everything Krishna's, everything offered to Krishna. And that's what he taught us. Everything should be offered to Krishna because it is coming from Krishna. We cannot claim, okay, I did it, I wanted it. Prabhupada taught this, whatever you get, you offer it to Krishna. So, that is, we have a perfect example. So, we have to learn from Srila Prabhupada how he demonstrated this. He never took credit for anything. If from mundane point of view, if someone at that age do this kind of thing, some mundane person, they will just take so much credit for themselves. But here we see how Srila Prabhupada offered everything to Krishna and taught us same thing. That Krishna is the proprietor and Krishna is the controller. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And we have to act on this principle, and if we don't act on this principle, we are of a demonic mentality and we have to suffer consequences. We'll be stuck here in this material world. So this is a very important verse which helps us understand this important fact, and if we try to apply this principle, it's a peace formula actually, in our life, it will help us progress in our Krishna consciousness. So we have actually 5 minutes left here. So I have something that I want to read that Srila Prabhupada gave. Here I have some 3 paragraphs that I want to read and then we'll end. So this is about the 529 verse, peace formula. So Prabhupada said, Srila Prabhupada called this verse of Bhagavad Gita the peace formula. It seems appropriate that we hear something from Srila Prabhupada how the world can be brought into a peaceful condition now as we seem to be practically on the brink of the World War III. The great mistake of modern civilization is to encroach upon others' property as though it were one's own and to thereby create an unnecessary disturbance of the laws of nature. These laws are very strong. No living entity can violate them. Only one who is Krishna conscious can easily overcome the stringency of the laws of nature and thus become happy and peaceful in the world. As a state is protected by the Department of Law and Order, so the state of universe, of which this earth is only an insignificant fragment, is protected by the laws of nature. This material nature is one of the different potencies of God, who is the ultimate proprietor of everything that be. This earth is therefore the property of God, but we, the living entities, especially the so-called civilized human beings, are claiming God property as our own, under both an individual and collective false conception. If you want peace, you have to remove this false conception from your mind and from the world. This false claim of proprietorship by the human race on the earth is partly or wholly the cause of all disturbances of peace on the earth. Foolish and so-called civilized men are claiming proprietary rights on property of God because they have now become godless. You cannot be happy and peaceful in godless society. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that He is the factual enjoyer of all activities of the living entities, that He is the supreme Lord of all the universes, and that He is the well-wishing friend of all beings. When the people of the world know this as the formula for peace, it is then and there that peace will prevail. Therefore, if you want peace at all, if anyone wants to give any comments, if there are any comments, please. Yeah. If not, that Margaret can do announcements. After. Hare Krishna. So is it Aarti time or not? Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you. It was very nice.
Is that okay?